James Scott.
And I'm Sarah Alexander.
And thank you for joining us tonight on the Evening News.
Tonight we're going to begin with the weather forecast.
Take it away, Carol Williams.
Hello, here's an overview of this week's weather, the week of July 20th, 1969. This week we are going to have highs in the 90s and lows in the 60s as low as 65 degrees. On Monday, it's going to be cloudy and sunny. On Tuesday, it's going to start warming up. Hello, I'm Nina Bunyadi reporting to you live from NASA in Pasadena, California, where news of the landing of Apollo 11 has just been released. Apollo 11 was a lunar mission launched by NASA, which was meant to land the first man on the moon, which would lead to the first man to walk on the moon. Apollo 11 had astronauts Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and Michael Collins, which were on the spacecraft itself. Neil Armstrong was the first man to step on the moon, followed by Buzz Aldrin, while Michael Collins orbited the moon. The Americans have placed an American flag on the moon to represent the fact that they were there before the Soviet Union with their technological advancements. Sorry for the connection loss. Now here is a footage of the launching of Apollo 11 on July 16th of 1969, when this whole mission first began.
20 seconds and counting. T-minus 15 seconds. Guidance is internal. 12, 11, 10, 9. Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff. 32 minutes past the hour. Liftoff on Apollo 11. Tower cleared.
Okay, we got a roll program. Neil Armstrong reporting the roll and pitch program, which puts Apollo 11 on a proper heading. Plus 30 seconds. Roll complete and pitches program. Altitude's 2 miles. Oh, 11 Houston, you're good at 1 minute. Downrange 1 mile, altitude 4 miles now. Velocity 2,195 feet per second.
Thank you, Lynette. It's such an amazing accomplishment for the United States with this landing on the moon. I'm wondering if this means victory for the United States in the space race.
Yeah, and I don't think there's any words to describe this huge accomplishment. I think tonight we're all proud to be American.
Yes, we'll be back after this short break. Welcome back. We are now joined with Cyril to talk about the Cold War. How are you, Cyril?
I'm fine, thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you, Cyril. So the Cold War, it started in 1947, and it was named the Cold War since there wasn't any actual bloodshed. It was provoked by disagreements between the United States and the Soviet Union. They didn't know how to govern Eastern Europe. Now, it was communism versus democracy. And personally, I believe democracy was the best way to govern Eastern Europe.
The space race began in the late 1950s, and this was the battle between the United States and the Soviet Union to prove one government's superiority in technology over the other through space exploration.
With the launching of Sputnik 1, which was the first artificial satellite to be sent into space by the Soviet Union, Sputnik 2 was followed with a dog named Laika in it.
Wow, that must have been one interesting adventure for the dog.
Indeed. In 1957, it was a year that the space race was officially initiated. After the Sputnik 1 and 2 were released, United States came back with Explorer 1 which made many discoveries in space.
Later that year, our president, Dwight, signed a public order creating NASA to help with space exploration. We really want to beat and be better than Soviet Union. In the year 1959, the Soviet Union launched Luna 1, which was the first man-made object to orbit the sun. But on January 2nd, Luna 2 was launched, and it was the first man-made object to go around the moon. On April 20th, 1961, the Soviet Union once again sent Yuri Gagarin into space. He orbited the Earth. Now, of course, the Soviet Union has done a lot of accomplishments, but we did send Alan B. Shepard into space, making him the first American to orbit on May 5th, 1961.
After the election of the President John F. Kennedy in 1960, the president gave a speech regarding the United States in the space race in 1961, which he challenged the nation to go to the moon before the end of the decade. In early 1962, John Glenn of the United States orbited the Earth 3 times.
Let's take a walk down memory lane. On November 22nd, 1963, our beloved President John F. Kennedy, was taken from us too soon.
The Soviet Union made many advancements in the space race, including the first spacewalk by Alexei Leonov, who spent 12 minutes outside of the aircraft Voskhod on March 18, 1965.
In the year of 1966, the Soviet Union launched Luna 10, which became the first satellite to orbit the moon.
And now back to Lynette from NASA.
We have recently gotten new information from NASA regarding the landing on the moon, and they have given us some footage of the astronauts personally walking on the moon themselves. Here, now let's take a look at it.
I'm going to step off the limb. That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. Columbia, this is Houston, AOS, over.
Houston, Columbia on the high gate, over.
Roger, the EVA is progressing beautifully. They're setting up the flag now. I guess you're about the only person around that doesn't have TV coverage of the scene.
That's all right, I don't mind a bit.
They've got the flag up now, and you can see the stars and stripes on the lunar
Flag
surface.
up now, and you can see the stars and
Are you getting a TV picture now, Houston? Neil, yes, we are getting a TV picture. You're in our field of view now.
I'd like to evaluate the various paces that a person can traveling on the lunar surface. You do have to be. All right, you do have to be rather careful to keep track of where your center of mass is. Sometimes it takes about 2 or 3 paces to make sure that you've got your feet underneath you. And about 2 or 3 or maybe 4 easy paces can bring you to a fairly smooth stop. Like a football player, you just have to put out to the side and cut a little bit.
And now, back to you, Haley and Sarah.
That's all for tonight. Thank you for tuning in.
And tune back in tomorrow to get more information on Apollo 11 and their beautiful journey.